Ndate Yalla Mbodj, the Wolof queen who opposed the colonial invasion. In the 19th century, this strong woman refused to submit to the French presence and continues to be an important figure in resisting the occupation of Africa. Authentic illustration of Ndate Yalla Mbodj by Father David Boylat on September 2, 1850. The Linger smokes her honor pipe, surrounded by more than 500 elegantly dressed women and all princes and warriors. In the 14th century, the Wolof Empire was founded by Yolof. Around the 16th century it was dissolved and the states Yolof, Wallo, Bale, and Kair were founded. In accordance with the African matriarchal tradition, the Wallo women of royal blood named Linger wielded the power rights. The Linger gave permission to the king, Brak, to exercise power. For example, Linger Fate Mbodj named her husband Amar Borso Mbodj the Brave of Wallo. From their union 2 daughters were born, Ndate and Ndate Yalla. While still very young, the princesses were trained by her mother for the administration and defense of the kingdom. In 1820, the Brackish was treated outside Wallo when the Berbers, also known as Moors, attacked the kingdom. Fate Mbodj and her male-armed female army confronted each other and repulsed them, who were also slave traders. Because they were hurt in their pride because they were defeated by women, the Moors decided to carry out another expedition. This time, as their defeat and enslavement were inevitable, the Linger and her warriors killed each other with the use of fire. She allowed her 2 daughters, 10 and 12 years old, to flee to track the line. The 2 women took over Wallo. Her cousin Mbodj Malik, who was named Brak, held a second position. When Ndate died in 1846, Ndate Yalla was 36 years old and became the sole ruler of the kingdom. In 1848, the French officially began the colonization of Senegal of St. Louis called Ndar in Wolof, which was annexed from the 17th century. Ndate Yalla Mbodj's authority was impressive in that she was considered by the colonizers to be one of the main regents in Senegal. The Queen stood against her expansion. In response to the French occupation plan of Mboyo Island, the Queen wrote to colonial governor Louis Faidherbe, saying, "The purpose of this letter is to let you know that Mboyo Island is my grandfather's, and no one can say that this land belongs to them, it's just mine." The Queen also denied the Sarikal access to their territory, which supplied St. Louis with cattle. Louis Faidherbe, in the face of the French's greater willingness to expand, she retaliated by plundering the markets around St. Louis with her troop. Faidherbe has written this to her: "If you want our relationships to stay healthy, you have to return the 16 oxen you keep, otherwise I will become your enemy and that would be your fault." The Queen continued to challenge the French colonial power by launching a series of battles. The Linger forbade a part of the business from which the French profited. They decided to end everything by sending an army of 15,000 men to subdue Ndate Yalla in 1855. At the time of the decisive battle, the Queen said, "Today we were attacked by the invaders, our army is in disarray. Virtually all Wallo Tidos, though brave, fell under the enemy's bullets. The intruder is stronger than we are, I admit, but should we give Wallo away to foreigners?" She was defeated in 1855 and died 5 years later. Wallo was annexed by France. Faidherbe had her son Sitya Ndate capture Yalla Diop and rename him Leon. Ndate Yalla's son was sent to a French school in St. Louis, then to Algiers, where they tried to turn him into a docile colonial representative. When he returned to his homeland, Sitya Diop, 17 years old, rejected his colonial name, French language, and clothing as he reclaimed his mother's legacy. The prince instituted a great resistance movement and caused heavy losses to the enemy with his mighty army. When he tried to create a national liberation movement, he was betrayed and captured by the French after a very violent conflict. Deported to Gabon and hopeless with the idea of never returning to Senegal, he committed suicide at the age of 30. Like his mother, he remained one of the main fighters opposed to colonization in Senegal. Ndate Yalla Mbodj is part of the large number of strong women in African history who have opposed the Europeans, from the Sudanese Empress Kandake Men Irenas in antiquity, Queen Nzinga in Angola during the slave trade to the priestess Aline Sito Dieta from Senegal or Queen Yasintiwa from today's Ghana. Statue of Linger Ndate Yalla Mbodj in Dagana, northern part of Senegal. Dr. Percy Julian, the black chemist who has spread the use of corticosteroids. Percy Julian: one day, I'm going to become a chemist. That sentence said a lot about the determination of Percy Lavon Julian, when he looked at white students in a lab from a fence he had climbed. The future African-American scientist was born in 1898 in the separated state of Alabama in the United States. His two brothers became doctors and all his three sisters received at least a master's degree. Percy Julian was chosen by his father to follow in his brother's footsteps, but instead he chose chemistry. After a brilliant study, he taught chemistry at Fisk University in Tennessee, an institution for black people. He received a scholarship from Harvard University and graduated first in the mythical institution. But because of racism, the reserved space of the teacher was denied. He taught at black universities and completed his education with a PhD in Austria. Percy Julian in his lab back in the United States, together with a colleague from Austria, he developed Joseph Pickle, physostigmine. This synthetic compound revolutionized the treatment of glaucoma, a disabling condition of the eye. Percy Julian was celebrated around the world, but the authorities blocked him on the way to promotion, still because of his race. Eventually, he left the academic world and took on a high degree of responsibility with the Glidden Company. He developed a flame-retardant foam used during the Second World War. Percy Julian caused a stir again by synthetically producing progesterone, a natural hormone that prevents abortions. Its foundation had a great influence on the care of the pregnant woman. He also synthesized testosterone and cortisone. This last natural hormone is very effective in the treatment of rheumatism. Before the work of Percy Julian, it was overpriced. The African-American chemist has made it affordable for everyone. This democratization of corticosteroids had a decisive influence on the prognosis of diseases such as asthma, rheumatism, and kidney disease. Dr. Percy Julian and his family moved to a wealthy Chicago neighborhood, but racists lit his house and a bomb exploded near his children's window. His racist neighbors, however, depended on the treatments he had developed. Percy Julian was heavily involved in the civil rights movement, be it in the Black Lobby NAACP or in organizations affiliated with Martin Luther King Jr. His contribution to medicine is still gigantic. Several university faculties in the U.S. carry his name, and a hallmark of his performance is in circulation. Stamp with the image of Percy Julian.